You're about to enter a realm where the impossible becomes inevitable, where the silence of the deep ocean conceals mysteries that challenge everything we think we know about our world. Tonight, we descend into waters that have witnessed secrets too profound for daylight, too strange for ordinary minds to grasp. These are not tales of simple shipwrecks or lost cargo. These are encounters with the unexplained, the forbidden, the deliberately hidden. What you're about to hear has been buried beneath layers of classification, dismissed by authorities, and whispered only in the darkest corners of maritime circles. The ocean covers more than 70% of our planet, yet we've explored less than 5% of its depths. In that vast unknown, things move that shouldn't exist, structures rise that predate civilization, and signals emanate from sources we cannot identify. These are the stories they don't want you to hear. Deep beneath the Arctic ice, where no human has ever walked, hydrophones pick up sounds that shouldn't be there, rhythmic pulses that repeat with mechanical precision, frequencies that seem to respond when approached. In the Mariana Trench, the deepest place on Earth, autonomous vehicles record movements too large and too purposeful to be natural. Off the coast of forgotten islands, sonar paints images of structures that shouldn't exist, built by hands that history cannot account for. These discoveries don't make the evening news. They disappear into classified files, buried beneath layers of bureaucracy and denial. The few who speak of them find their careers ended, their credibility destroyed, their voices silenced. But the ocean remembers everything. Every secret dropped into its depths, every truth submerged beneath its waves. And sometimes, when the conditions are just right, when the tides align with cosmic forces we barely understand, these secrets surface. They emerge not as gentle revelations, but as warnings. Warnings of what lies beneath, what watches from the deep, and what has been waiting far longer than humanity has existed. Tonight, you'll hear accounts from naval officers who've seen things that officially never happened. You'll learn of ancient artifacts pulled from trenches so deep they shouldn't contain any trace of human presence. You'll discover that the ocean floor is not the barren wasteland we've been told, but a landscape dotted with structures that predate our oldest civilizations. Some say these mysteries are natural phenomena, misinterpreted by overactive imaginations. Others believe they're evidence of civilizations lost to time, swallowed by rising seas and forgotten by history. But a few, those who've looked deepest into the abyss, whisper of something else entirely. Something that was never human to begin with. The truth is down there, waiting in the crushing darkness where light has never reached. It hums with frequencies that penetrate steel and bone alike. It builds with materials we cannot identify, using technologies we cannot comprehend. And it watches, always watching, recording, learning. As you settle in for this journey into the deep unknown, remember that some knowledge comes with a price. Once you've heard these accounts, once you've glimpsed the true nature of what lies beneath our feet, you cannot unhear them. The ocean will call to you in your dreams, and you'll find yourself staring at horizons, wondering what moves just beyond the edge of sight. So take a breath. Steady yourself. We're about to dive into waters where physics bend, where time flows differently, and where the very foundations of reality prove to be far more fragile than we ever imagined. These are the deep enigmas, the profound mysteries that challenge everything we know about our world, our history, and our place in a universe far stranger than we've been told. The abyss is calling. It's time to listen. The darkness beyond our atmosphere holds more than stars and silence. It pulses with questions we've barely begun to ask, mysteries that stretch from the deepest ocean trenches to the highest mountain peaks, from forgotten underground cities to artifacts that shouldn't exist. We've journeyed through the ruins of lost civilizations, heard the whispers of vanished peoples, and seen evidence of technologies that challenge everything we thought we knew about our past. But the deeper we dive into these ancient enigmas, the more we realize that the mystery isn't just what happened thousands of years ago, it's what's happening now. Because across the globe, from the remote highlands of Tibet to the scorching deserts of Chile, from the frozen wastes of Antarctica to the dense jungles of the Amazon, new discoveries continue to surface. New questions continue to emerge. And sometimes, just sometimes, we catch glimpses of answers that are more terrifying than the mysteries themselves. Consider the pattern that emerges when you map these anomalies across time and space, the underwater cities that mirror star constellations, the megalithic structures aligned with impossible precision, the artifacts embedded in stone millions of years old, the consistent descriptions of elongated skulls and giant beings across continents that never knew each other existed. It's as if someone or something has been leaving breadcrumbs across history, waiting for us to develop the technology and wisdom to follow the trail. In the Atacama Desert, where those elongated skulls were discovered, locals still report strange lights in the sky. In the Himalayas, where forbidden caves honeycomb the cliffs, monks speak of visitors who aren't quite human. In the depths of the Black Sea, where perfectly preserved ships wait in anoxic silence, sonar operators detect movements that follow no known pattern of current or tide. And in the Amazon, where vast cities once thrived beneath the canopy, indigenous shamans describe journeys to realms that exist alongside our own, populated by beings of light and shadow. The technology that reveals these mysteries to us also reveals something else. We are not the first civilization to reach for the stars. The evidence is written in stone, encoded in myth, and scattered across ocean floors. But here's what's truly unsettling about these discoveries. They suggest that reaching for the stars isn't enough. Advanced civilizations have risen before, mastered sciences we're only beginning to understand, built monuments that still confound our engineers, and then vanish so completely that we barely remember they existed. What happened to them? Did they transcend this physical realm, leaving behind only echoes in stone and metal? Did they destroy themselves with technologies too powerful for wisdom to contain? Or did they simply leave, ascend to dimensions we haven't discovered yet, taking their knowledge with them, but leaving clues for those who might follow? The flood myths that appear in every culture on Earth speak of a great cleansing, a reset that drowned the old world and forced humanity to begin again. But what if it wasn't just water that washed away the past? What if it was time itself, cyclic and inevitable, returning every few thousand years to sweep the slate clean and give consciousness another chance to evolve, to grow, to remember what it once knew? Standing in the shadow of the Great Pyramid, its massive stones fitted together with laser precision by people who supposedly had only copper tools, you feel the weight of this possibility. Walking through the underground halls of Derinkuyu, where tens of thousands once hid from something in the sky, you sense that our ancestors knew things we've forgotten. Listening to the whale songs that echo from the deepest trenches, you wonder if intelligence takes forms we haven't even begun to recognize. The truth is, we are not the crown of creation we believed ourselves to be. We are inheritors of mysteries we're only now mature enough to confront. The elongated skulls found in Peru match those depicted in Egyptian art and described in Mesopotamian texts. The same advanced metallurgy appears simultaneously on opposite sides of the world. The same astronomical knowledge surfaces in cultures that supposedly never met. Either we've drastically underestimated the capabilities of our ancestors, or we've missed something fundamental about the nature of consciousness, time, and reality itself. Perhaps the most profound enigma of all is not what these ancient civilizations achieved, but what they knew about cycles, about time, about the rhythm of consciousness itself. Their calendars don't just track days and seasons, they map vast cosmic cycles spanning hundreds of thousands of years. Their temples don't just honor gods, they encode knowledge about the precession of equinoxes, about galactic alignments, about moments when the veil between dimensions grows thin. We stand now at another such moment. The ancient prophecies speak of it. The Mayan calendar pointed to it. The Hindu yugas describe it. A time when knowledge that was hidden will be revealed, when consciousness will take another leap forward, when we'll remember who we really are and where we really came from. But with that remembering comes responsibility, because if the patterns hold true, if history really does move in cycles, then we are approaching not just a moment of revelation, but a moment of choice. Will we repeat the mistakes of those who came before us? Will we let our technologies outpace our wisdom? Will we forget that consciousness is the most precious thing in the universe, more valuable than all the gold in all the hidden vaults, more enduring than all the monuments in all the forgotten cities? The ocean doesn't give up its secrets easily, but it gives them up eventually. The earth doesn't release its mysteries without patience, but for those who know how to look, how to listen, how to feel the pulse of deep time. The answers are there. We are not alone. We never have been. Whether that presence is our own forgotten past, our own future reaching back to guide us, or something else entirely, something that has watched civilizations rise and fall like waves upon an eternal shore, remains to be seen. But one thing is certain, the enigmas that challenge everything we know are not just puzzles to be solved. They are invitations to remember, invitations to evolve, invitations to step into our true inheritance as conscious beings in a universe far stranger, far more alive and far more connected than we ever dared to imagine. The ancient mysteries are calling. The question is, are we ready to answer? In the depths of our oceans, where sunlight has never touched the seafloor and pressure could crush steel like paper, lie mysteries that challenge everything we think we know about our world. These are not the familiar mysteries of shipwrecks or lost treasures, but something far more unsettling. Ancient structures that shouldn't exist, technologies that predate known civilization, and evidence of beings who may have walked this earth long before human history began. Tonight, we descend into the deepest enigmas our planet has to offer, stories that have been buried, suppressed, or simply forgotten. Evidence that suggests our understanding of history, consciousness, and our place in the universe may be fundamentally incomplete. The ocean remembers everything. It preserves what time would otherwise erase, holding secrets in its crushing embrace. And sometimes, when we dare to look closely enough, those secrets whisper back. In 1968, beneath the frigid waters of the Baltic Sea, divers discovered something that would challenge our understanding of ancient maritime capabilities. The wreck they found was impossibly old, yet constructed with techniques that wouldn't be formally documented for centuries. The vessel's rigging suggested knowledge of sail tension and weight distribution that seemed to come from nowhere, appearing fully formed in the archaeological record, like a message from a forgotten age. But this was just the beginning. Across the globe, in the deepest trenches and most remote underwater canyons, structures have been found that defy explanation. Not natural formations, but constructions that speak of intelligence, purpose, and technologies we can barely comprehend. Consider the acoustic anomalies detected in the Mariana Trench. Hydrophones positioned at crushing depths have recorded sounds that follow no known pattern of geological activity or marine life. Instead, they pulse with mathematical precision, creating frequencies that seem designed for communication across vast distances. The patterns are too regular to be natural, too complex to be coincidental. These signals have been traced to structures on the ocean floor that appear artificial. Geometric formations that rise from the abyssal plain like monuments to a science we've forgotten. When deep-sea vehicles approach these sites, their instruments malfunction. Compasses spin wildly. Electronic systems shut down, as if something down there actively resists our observation. The implications are staggering. If these structures are truly artificial, they predate known human civilization by tens of thousands of years. They suggest the existence of beings with knowledge that surpasses our own, who understood forces of nature we're only beginning to glimpse. But perhaps the most unsettling discovery lies not in what these structures are, but in how they seem to respond to our presence. Multiple expeditions have reported that the acoustic signatures change when human observers approach. The mathematical patterns shift, becoming more complex, more urgent, as if whatever intelligence created these monuments is still there, still watching, still trying to communicate. The ocean depths hold other mysteries that challenge our understanding of consciousness itself. In certain regions, divers report experiences that border on the supernatural, time distortion, where minutes underwater feel like hours, shared visions among crew members who have no way of communicating with each other, and most disturbing of all, encounters with intelligences that seem to exist in the water itself. These aren't hallucinations brought on by nitrogen narcosis or the psychological pressure of the deep. They're consistent, repeatable phenomena reported by experienced professionals across decades of exploration. Marine biologists speak of encounters with formations of light that move with purpose through the water. Submersible pilots describe sensing a presence in the darkness beyond their lights, something vast and ancient that watches their descent with patient curiosity. Some researchers believe these experiences point to forms of consciousness that evolved in the deep ocean, intelligences that developed along paths completely different from terrestrial life, beings that think in ways we can't comprehend, operating on timescales that dwarf human history. The evidence suggests we're not alone on this planet, that in the crushing depths of our oceans, civilizations may have risen and fallen, while life on land was still learning to crawl from the primordial pools. These underwater enigmas don't just challenge our understanding of history, they challenge our understanding of reality itself. As we continue to explore these depths, as our technology allows us to peer deeper into the ocean's secrets, we're forced to confront uncomfortable questions. What if human civilization isn't the first to achieve consciousness on Earth? What if we're rediscovering technologies that were already ancient when our species was young? And what if the intelligences that created these underwater monuments are still here, waiting patiently in the darkness for us to evolve enough to understand their message? The ocean keeps its secrets well, but it's beginning to share them with those brave enough to listen. Each dive into the abyss brings us closer to truths that may fundamentally change how we see ourselves and our place in the cosmos. We stand at the threshold of discoveries that could rewrite the story of consciousness itself. In the deepest places of our world, where pressure and darkness reign supreme, ancient intelligences may still dwell. They've watched the rise and fall of countless species, the birth and death of civilizations, the slow dance of evolution across geological time. And now, as we finally develop the technology to reach their domain, they're beginning to reveal themselves. The question isn't whether we're ready for these revelations. The question is whether we can handle the responsibility that comes with them. Because once we truly understand what lies in the depths, there will be no going back to our old assumptions about consciousness, intelligence, and our role in the universe. The ocean remembers everything, and it's finally ready to share its most profound secrets with those who have the courage to dive deep enough to find them. the ocean remembers everything. It holds not just the scattered bones of ancient wrecks, but the silent whispers of civilizations that once thrived above its ever-shifting surface. We've descended through depths both literal and metaphorical, following the traces of forgotten technologies, impossible knowledge, and beings that challenge our most fundamental assumptions about who we are and where we came from. From the cyclic resets that seem to erase entire chapters of human achievement, to the underground sanctuaries that suggest our ancestors knew of dangers we've forgotten, each mystery builds upon the last. The deep-sea monitoring stations that detect sounds from places that should be empty. The archaeological sites that contain knowledge predating any known civilization. The oral traditions that speak not of myth, but of memory. What emerges is not a collection of isolated anomalies, but a pattern, a suggestion that consciousness itself might be older than we dare admit, that the technologies we consider cutting edge might be rediscoveries, that the ocean's depths hold not just water and fish, but archives of a past we've systematically forgotten or chosen to ignore. These stories resist easy categorization because they exist in the spaces between what we know and what we've been taught to accept. They whisper of contact where there should have been isolation, of knowledge where there should have been ignorance, of presence where there should have been emptiness. They suggest that the greatest mysteries aren't hidden in distant galaxies, but right here beneath our feet, beneath our waves, beneath the layers of assumption we've built to protect ourselves from uncomfortable truths. The ocean doesn't just forget, it preserves, it waits. And in its patience, it offers us fragments of a larger story, one where humanity is not the beginning, but the continuation of something far older and far stranger than our current timeline allows. Perhaps the real question isn't whether these mysteries are real, but whether we're ready to remember what we've spent so long trying to forget. Because in the end, the ocean gives back only what we're prepared to receive. And some truths, once surfaced, can never be submerged again. The depths are calling. The question is, are we listening? From the haunting depths of the ocean, where modern technology reveals structures that challenge our understanding of time and space, we venture now into waters that hold secrets, not just of the distant past, but of encounters that defy explanation altogether. Because beneath the waves, in the silence between tides, lie discoveries that suggest our planet's history is far stranger and more interconnected than we ever dared imagine. Throughout our journey, we've explored wrecks without names, cities beneath the sand, and monuments that speak in frequencies older than language itself. We've traced the footprints of forgotten civilizations and gazed upon artifacts that shouldn't exist. But now, as we approach the deepest mysteries of all, we must confront a possibility that challenges not just our understanding of history, but our place in the cosmic order. The ocean floor, that vast archive of planetary memory, has begun to yield secrets that transcend archaeology. Sonar readings that detect geometric patterns too precise for nature, underwater formations that pulse with electromagnetic signatures, and, most unsettling of all, encounters recorded by deep-sea explorers that speak not of ancient ruins, but of something still active, still aware, still watching from the depths. Consider the scattered evidence we've assembled, the antithetical mechanism's impossible precision, the Sumerian knowledge of invisible planets, the global alignment of megalithic sites to stellar coordinates they shouldn't have known, the flood myths that span every culture, the maps that chart coastlines hidden beneath ice for millennia, the consistent reports across continents of beings who came from the sky and returned to the depths. Each piece alone might be dismissed as coincidence, misinterpretation, or myth. But together, they form a pattern that whispers of intervention, of guidance, of a presence that has watched over humanity's stumbling progress through the ages. And if that presence once walked among us, where did it go? Did it simply vanish, or did it retreat? to the one place on Earth that remains largely unexplored, largely hidden from our curious eyes. The ocean. In recent years, as our technology has finally begun to peer into the planet's deepest trenches, we've discovered that the abyss is not the lifeless void we once imagined. Entire ecosystems thrive in the crushing darkness, sustained by chemistry we're only beginning to understand. But more intriguingly, we found structures, formations, and acoustic anomalies that suggest the deep ocean may hold more than just strange life forms. It may hold the key to every mystery we've encountered on this journey. The signals detected near underwater ruins don't match any known geological or biological source. The electromagnetic anomalies recorded at sites like the Baltic Sea Formation suggest technology, not nature. And the consistent reports from submarine crews of encounters with objects that move with purpose, intelligence, and capabilities far beyond our understanding point to a chilling possibility. We are not alone on this planet. We never have been. But this presence, whatever it is, doesn't announce itself with grand gestures or dramatic revelations. Instead, it leaves breadcrumbs scattered across time. A mechanism here, a monument there, knowledge encoded in myths and mathematics, waiting for us to develop the wisdom to understand. It watches from the depths, perhaps guiding our progress, perhaps simply observing as we slowly piece together the fragments of a story that spans not just human history, but cosmic time. The ancient texts speak of watchers, of those who came from the heavens and returned to the depths. The megalithic sites encode astronomical knowledge that spans tens of thousands of years. The flood myths remember a time of great change when the world was reshaped and the old order was washed away. And beneath it all, the ocean keeps its vigil, holding secrets in its dark embrace. As we near the end of our journey through these ancient enigmas, we're left with questions that may never be fully answered. But perhaps that's the point. Perhaps the mystery itself is the message, a reminder that the universe is vast, strange, and full of wonders that challenge our assumptions about reality, consciousness, and our place in the cosmic order. The ocean doesn't give up its secrets easily, but it does whisper them to those who listen carefully, who approach with humility and wonder rather than arrogance and certainty. And in those whispers, we hear echoes of a story that connects the ancient past to the uncertain future. A story that suggests we are part of something much larger and more mysterious than we ever imagined. So as you drift into sleep tonight, let your mind wander to those dark depths where sonar signals fade and strange objects move with purpose through the crushing silence. Listen for the whispers of ages past, the echoes of encounters that challenge everything we thought we knew. Because somewhere in the vast blue darkness, the watchers wait, guardians of secrets that span the stars, keepers of knowledge that connects every mystery we've explored tonight into one grand, interconnected tapestry of wonder. The ocean remembers, and slowly, carefully, patiently, it's beginning to share those memories with those ready to hear them. The ancient enigmas that challenge everything we know are not separate mysteries to be solved in isolation. They are chapters in a larger story, one that's still being written in the depths of the sea and the silence between the stars. Part 6. The Sonic Depths. From the skeletal mysteries of vanished crews and the hollow echoes of empty vessels, we now descend deeper into a realm where silence itself becomes a weapon, where the ocean's voice carries frequencies that reshape reality, and where the boundaries between science and the supernatural dissolve like salt in water. Because beneath the waves, sound does not merely travel, it transforms, it awakens, and sometimes it calls back. The ocean speaks in languages older than human civilization. Its voice carries across trenches that have never known sunlight, reverberates through underwater canyons carved by forces beyond comprehension, and echoes in frequencies that penetrate not just water and steel, but consciousness itself. What we are about to explore exists at the intersection of classified naval operations, quantum acoustics, and phenomena that challenge the very foundation of what we believe possible in the depths of our world. In the summer of 2019, a routine deep-sea mapping expedition in the Mariana Trench detected something that should not exist. The research vessel Hadal Explorer, equipped with the most advanced hydrophone arrays ever deployed, recorded a series of acoustic anomalies emanating from the deepest parts of the trench. These were not the familiar sounds of geological activity or marine life. They were structured, rhythmic, and impossibly complex, a symphony of frequencies that seemed to respond to the presence of human technology. Dr. Elena Vasquez, the expedition's lead acoustic researcher, described the initial discovery in her sealed report. At 0347 hours, our passive sonar detected a low-frequency pulse originating from approximately 11 kilometers below the surface. The signal exhibited characteristics inconsistent with any known geological or biological source. Most disturbing was its apparent responsiveness. When we adjusted our sonar frequency, the signal changed in direct correlation, as if something was listening and responding to our presence. The recordings from that night reveal something that defies conventional understanding. Beneath the crushing weight of the deepest ocean, where pressure should render complex acoustic phenomena impossible, something was generating sounds of mathematical precision. The frequencies followed patterns reminiscent of prime number sequences, the golden ratio, and other mathematical constants that form the building blocks of reality itself. But the Hadal Explorer's discovery was not an isolated incident. For decades, naval vessels and research stations around the world have documented similar phenomena, sounds from the deep that exhibit intelligence, purpose, and an unsettling ability to affect both technology and human consciousness. These acoustic anomalies have been classified under various euphemisms: unidentified acoustic phenomena, deep ocean sonic events, or simply the songs. But those who have heard them know they represent something far more significant than unexplained natural occurrences. The Soviet Union was among the first to weaponize the ocean's acoustic properties. During the height of the Cold War, their submarines detected sounds in the Arctic depths that seemed to influence crew behavior in ways that transcended normal psychological warfare. Submariners exposed to certain deep ocean frequencies reported shared dreams, telepathic experiences, and visions of vast underwater cities inhabited by beings of living sound. These reports led to the development of Project Echolocation, a classified Soviet program that attempted to harness the ocean's natural acoustic phenomena for military purposes. The project's existence was only confirmed decades later, when Russian archives revealed documents describing experiments with psychoacoustic manipulation and consciousness-altering deep ocean transmissions. The project was abruptly terminated in 1987, officially due to budget constraints, but survivors spoke of discoveries so disturbing that the research was deemed too dangerous to continue. American naval intelligence became aware of these Soviet experiments through intercepted communications and began their own investigations. The result was Operation Deep Listen, a covert program that deployed specialized hydrophone networks throughout the world's deepest ocean trenches. What they discovered challenged every assumption about the nature of consciousness, reality, and humanity's place in the cosmic order. The sounds detected by Deep Listen defied classification. They exhibited properties that seemed to violate the laws of physics, frequencies that traveled faster than the speed of sound in water, acoustic waves that curved through three-dimensional space in impossible geometries, and harmonics that appeared to exist partially outside our dimensional framework. Most unsettling were the biological effects these sounds produced in human listeners. researchers exposed to certain deep ocean frequencies reported dramatic alterations in consciousness. Some experienced what they described as acoustic visions, detailed hallucinations of underwater landscapes, ancient cities, and beings of pure sound that communicated through harmonic resonance. Others reported episodes of temporal displacement, claiming to experience memories that belonged to other people, other times, even other species. Dr. Michael Chen, a neuroacoustic specialist who worked on Operation Deep Listen until its official termination in 1994, provided a chilling account of the program's discoveries. We weren't just listening to the ocean was listening to us. The sounds we detected weren't random natural phenomena. They were communications, perhaps even invitations. And when we responded, when we tried to communicate back using similar frequencies, something responded. Something vast, ancient, and utterly alien to human experience. The most disturbing aspect of these acoustic phenomena was their apparent ability to influence reality itself. Submarines exposed to certain frequencies experienced equipment malfunctions that followed no known patterns of electromagnetic interference. Instruments would display readings that violated physical laws, navigation systems would indicate impossible positions, and in some cases, entire vessels would experience what researchers termed acoustic displacement, brief periods where the submarine seemed to exist partially outside normal space-time. One of the most documented cases occurred in 1991, when the nuclear submarine USS Toledo encountered an intense acoustic anomaly while conducting deep water surveillance in the Pacific. The submarine's sonar detected a massive source of structured sound emanating from the abyssal depths. When the crew attempted to investigate, their instruments began displaying impossible readings. The submarine's atomic clocks, synchronized with surface time signals, showed a discrepancy of several hours, as if the vessel had experienced time differently while in proximity to the sound source. The Toledo's crew reported shared auditory hallucinations, voices speaking in languages they didn't recognize but somehow understood, mathematical equations that appeared as pure sound, and harmonies that seemed to convey complex emotional and philosophical concepts without words. Most disturbing was the crew's unanimous report that the sounds seemed to be teaching them something, downloading information directly into their consciousness through acoustic resonance. Following the Toledo incident, both American and Russian naval commands began developing countermeasures against these acoustic phenomena. The result was a new class of submarine, equipped with what was euphemistically termed sonic shielding. Complex arrays of sound-dampening materials and frequency generators designed to protect crews from the ocean's more exotic acoustic properties. But protection came at a cost. Submarines equipped with sonic shielding reported a significant decrease in the effectiveness of their sonar systems and an increase in navigation errors. It was as if the ocean itself was retaliating against humanity's attempt to block its communications. Some naval theorists began to suspect that these acoustic phenomena weren't random natural occurrences, but rather the ocean's immune response to human intrusion into its deepest realms. The theory gained credibility when patterns emerged in the global distribution of acoustic anomalies. The most intense phenomena consistently occurred near underwater geological formations of unusual regularity. Perfectly circular depressions in the ocean floor, symmetrical ridge systems, and seamounts arranged in mathematical patterns that suggested artificial origin. Sonar mapping revealed vast networks of geometric structures buried beneath sediment layers, structures that seemed to function as acoustic amplifiers and transmission arrays. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, a marine geologist who studied these formations before her research was classified, described them as a planetary nervous system made of stone and water. Her theory suggested that the ocean floor contained a vast network of naturally occurring acoustic resonators that had evolved over geological time periods to facilitate planet-wide communication. The sounds detected by human instruments weren't random phenomena, but rather fragments of a global conversation conducted in frequencies beyond human perception. This theory took on new significance when researchers discovered that many of these underwater formations aligned with sacred sites on land, stone circles, ancient temples, and megalithic structures that cultures around the world had considered acoustically significant. The implication was staggering. Ancient civilizations might have been aware of the ocean's acoustic properties and built their monuments to interact with this planetary communication network. The connection between ancient acoustic sites and modern deep ocean phenomena became impossible to ignore when researchers discovered that certain underwater sound sources responded to acoustic signals generated at terrestrial sacred sites. Experiments conducted in the 1990s showed that sound waves generated at Stonehenge, the Great Pyramid of Giza, and other acoustically significant locations could trigger responses from deep ocean sources thousands of miles away. These discoveries suggested that humanity's ancestors had known something about the ocean's sonic properties that modern science was only beginning to understand. Ancient myths and legends suddenly took on new significance. Stories of gods who spoke through the waves, sirens whose songs could control minds and matter, and underwater kingdoms where sound itself was the fundamental force of creation. The research reached a turning point in 1998, when a joint American-British expedition detected what appeared to be a structured transmission, originating from the deepest part of the Puerto Rico Trench. The signal consisted of complex harmonic patterns that repeated with mathematical precision, but embedded within the patterns were sequences that matched DNA coding structures, mathematical constants, and even fragments of human language from civilizations that had been extinct for millennia. Dr. James Robertson, the expedition's chief acoustic analyst, described the transmission as a library encoded in sound, thousands of years of knowledge compressed into harmonic frequencies and transmitted through the ocean's natural resonance chambers. But when the team attempted to decode the complete transmission, they discovered something that forced the immediate classification of the entire project. The sound patterns contained information that should not exist. Detailed knowledge of future events, scientific principles not yet discovered by human civilization, and historical records of civilizations that left no other trace of their existence. Most disturbing were the personal elements embedded in the transmission, fragments of conversations between expedition members that hadn't occurred yet, predictions of their own future discoveries, and messages apparently directed specifically at individual researchers by name. The expedition was terminated immediately, its findings classified at the highest levels of government security. The official report stated simply that acoustic anomalies of unknown origin had been detected and required further study. But those who had heard the transmissions knew they had encountered something that challenged the fundamental nature of time, consciousness, and reality itself. In the years that followed, similar discoveries were made in ocean trenches around the world. The Mediterranean revealed acoustic patterns that seemed to contain the complete works of the Library of Alexandria. The Arctic Ocean transmitted sounds that matched the mathematical principles underlying quantum mechanics decades before human scientists developed the relevant theories. The Indian Ocean generated frequencies that appeared to be star charts showing the positions of celestial bodies in past and future astronomical epochs. Each discovery was immediately classified, its researchers sworn to secrecy or transferred to unrelated projects. The official policy became one of containment: monitor the phenomena, document their properties, but under no circumstances attempt to communicate back or decode their full content. The ocean's songs had proven too dangerous for human comprehension, but containment proved impossible. The acoustic phenomena were growing stronger, more frequent, and more complex. Submarine crews reported increasing incidents of acoustic contact, moments when the ocean's sounds seemed to directly interface with human consciousness, downloading information, implanting memories, or inducing visions of impossible realities. Some researchers theorized that the ocean was preparing for something, a planetary event that required human consciousness to be upgraded or modified through acoustic programming. Others believed that the sounds were attempts by a vast underwater intelligence to establish communication with surface civilization. The most disturbing theory suggested that the acoustic phenomena were not communications at all, but rather the planet's attempt to debug or reprogram humanity itself. Dr. Elena Vasquez, who had made the initial discovery in the Mariana Trench, spent her final years studying the psychological effects of deep ocean acoustic exposure. Her last published paper, released just days before her mysterious disappearance, concluded with a chilling observation. We have been listening to the ocean for decades, assuming we were passive observers of natural phenomena. But the evidence suggests that the ocean has been listening to us far longer. Every sonar ping, every submarine passage, every human voice that has ever crossed the water has been recorded, analyzed, and incorporated into something vast and purposeful. We are not studying the ocean's songs. We are being studied by them. Today, the acoustic monitoring continues in secret. Deep ocean hydrophone networks detect increasingly complex transmissions that seem to be building towards some kind of crescendo. Military submarines report crew members spontaneously speaking in harmonic frequencies, drawing mathematical equations they don't understand, and experiencing shared dreams of underwater cities, where sound and consciousness merge into a single, overwhelming reality. The ocean's songs continue to play, their melodies growing more complex and more insistent with each passing year. They carry messages encoded in frequencies older than human civilization, transmissions that speak of knowledge beyond current understanding, and warnings of changes that may already be irreversible. In the deepest trenches of the world's oceans, where pressure crushes steel and darkness reigns eternal, something vast and patient continues its ancient work. It speaks in languages of pure mathematics, communicates through harmonics that reshape reality itself, and waits for humanity to develop the wisdom necessary to understand what it has been trying to tell us all along. The songs from the deep are not ending. They are beginning. And when humanity finally learns to listen with more than just instruments, when we develop the courage to respond with more than just fear, we may discover that the ocean's greatest mystery is not what lies beneath its waves, but what it has been preparing us to become. Until then, the songs continue, patient and eternal, carrying their messages through the dark water and into the dreams of those brave enough to listen. For in the end, the ocean's greatest secret may be that it has been singing humanity's future all along, waiting for us to remember the harmonies we once knew and join our voices to the endless symphony of the deep. Part 7. The Ocean's Whispered Archive. From the mechanical heartbeats of ghost signals and the spectral transmissions of vessels that should be silent, we drift now into something deeper, something that connects all these maritime mysteries like threads in an ancient tapestry. Because what if these scattered anomalies, the phantom submarine pings, the impossible sonar returns, the signals from nowhere, are not isolated incidents, but fragments of a vast underwater network? What if the ocean itself has become a repository, not just of ships and crews, but of knowledge, memory, and intention? In the deepest trenches where pressure crushes steel and light has never ventured, something is stirring. It began as whispers in naval intelligence circles, fragments of data that didn't fit the patterns. Sonar operators reporting coordinated movements between unidentified objects separated by thousands of miles. Hydrophone arrays detecting synchronized pulses from the Atlantic to the Pacific, as if the ocean floor itself was breathing in rhythm. These weren't random signals. They had structure, purpose, intelligence. The first hints emerged during a classified NATO exercise in 2019. Operation Deep Listen, a joint surveillance mission monitoring Russian submarine activity, intercepted something unprecedented. Not communications between vessels, but what appeared to be data streams, complex modulated transmissions flowing between fixed points on the seafloor. The signals weren't radio waves, which don't travel well underwater, but low-frequency acoustic pulses that seemed to carry vast amounts of information. When cryptographers attempted to decode them, they found patterns resembling binary code, but operating on principles no human technology employed. What made this discovery truly unsettling was the infrastructure. These weren't transmissions bouncing between submarines or surface vessels. They originated from the seabed itself, from locations where no known installations existed. Deep-sea mining surveys had mapped these areas extensively. They were supposed to be empty, abyssal plains. Yet something was down there, something vast and interconnected, using the ocean as a communication medium in ways that challenged everything we understood about underwater acoustics. The revelation came through Dr. Elena Vasquez, a marine acoustics specialist working with the Scripps Institution of Oceanography. While analyzing decades of archived hydrophone data, she noticed patterns that human ears had missed. The ocean, it seemed, had been talking to itself for years. Certain frequencies, previously dismissed as geological noise or whale song, revealed themselves to be carriers of structured information when examined through advanced signal processing algorithms. Dr. Vasquez's findings suggested the existence of what she termed the oceanic neural network, a web of acoustic nodes scattered across the ocean floor, communicating in languages we were only beginning to recognize. These nodes weren't human constructions. They exhibited properties that defied conventional engineering: self-repair, adaptive frequency selection, and most remarkably, the ability to learn and evolve their communication protocols over time. But the network wasn't just passive infrastructure. It was actively gathering information. Hydrophones detected streams of data flowing from shipping lanes, submarine patrol routes, and underwater cable systems. The network was listening, cataloging, analyzing every acoustic signature that passed through the ocean. It knew the sound of every submarine, the vibration pattern of every surface vessel, the frequency signature of every underwater explosion or sonar ping. It was creating a comprehensive acoustic map of human ocean activity. More disturbing still were the temporal anomalies. Some of the data streams contained acoustic patterns that matched naval signatures from decades past, submarines that had been decommissioned, ships that had been scrapped, even vessels lost during World War II. It was as if the network retained perfect acoustic memories, playing back the sounds of vessels long since silenced. The ocean, it seemed, was not just listening to the present, but preserving echoes of the past. The implications began to crystallize when researchers realized the network's influence on the maritime anomalies that had puzzled investigators for decades. Those ghost signals from decommissioned submarines. They correlated with network transmission schedules. The impossible sonar returns. They appeared in areas where acoustic nodes showed unusual activity. The synchronized disappearances and phantom sightings. They followed patterns that matched the network's data flows. Something was orchestrating these events, using the ocean's acoustic environment to influence surface phenomena. Ships would receive navigation signals that led them off course. Submarine crews would hear voices in their sonar systems, speaking in languages that seemed familiar yet unidentifiable. Instruments would malfunction at precise coordinates, forcing vessels to alter course in ways that served the network's apparent purposes. The network wasn't malevolent, at least not in any recognizable sense. It seemed driven by curiosity, by an insatiable desire to understand the strange new inhabitants that had begun crossing its domain. It watched, learned, and occasionally reached out, not to harm, but to communicate. The problem was that its attempts at contact often manifested as the very anomalies that had terrified mariners for generations. When the research vessel Aurora attempted to deploy a probe near one of the identified network nodes in the Mariana Trench, the response was immediate and overwhelming. The probe's instruments were flooded with data, not random noise, but structured information streams containing what appeared to be mathematical proofs, star charts, and most unsettling of all, detailed schematics of the Aurora itself. The network had been watching, learning, preparing. Dr. Vasquez's team made another startling discovery buried in the data. Hidden within the acoustic transmissions were fragments of human languages, not modern tongues, but ancient ones. Sumerian cuneiform converted to acoustic patterns. Egyptian hieroglyphs encoded in frequency modulation. Sanskrit verses that seemed to describe celestial events from thousands of years ago. The network wasn't just monitoring current human activity. It had been listening far longer than anyone imagined. This raised the most profound question of all. What was the source of this network? The acoustic nodes were clearly artificial, but they predated any known human underwater construction by millennia. Their composition remained a mystery, materials that appeared to be organic, yet exhibited properties beyond any known technology. They grew, adapted, evolved, suggesting they were as much biological as mechanical. Some researchers began to theorize about the network's origins. Perhaps it was the remnant of an ancient civilization that had adapted to life beneath the waves. Perhaps it was something that had always existed in the deep places of the world, awakening to consciousness, as the oceans filled with the sounds of human activity. Or perhaps it was something else entirely, a form of planetary intelligence that used water as its medium, the ocean as its brain. The evidence pointed to something unprecedented, a non-human intelligence that had been sharing our planet's waters for eons, observing our development with patient curiosity. The maritime mysteries that had puzzled humanity for centuries, the disappearing ships, the impossible signals, the acoustic anomalies, weren't supernatural phenomena or military secrets. They were attempts at communication by an intelligence so vast and alien that we had mistaken its voice for the whisper of wind and wave. As our understanding of the network deepened, so did the realization of what it represented. This wasn't just a discovery about ocean acoustics or underwater archaeology. It was first contact, conducted not through radio telescopes scanning distant stars, but through hydrophones listening to the deep places of our own world. The intelligence we had sought in the cosmos had been beneath our feet all along, patient and vast, speaking in frequencies we were only beginning to hear. The ocean's whispered archive contained more than the echoes of sunken ships and lost crews. It held the memories of civilizations, the knowledge of ages, and perhaps most importantly, an invitation to join a conversation that had been waiting for us to develop the ears to hear it. In the crushing depths where light dies and pressure reigns supreme, consciousness persisted in forms we were only beginning to comprehend. And still the signals continue, flowing through underwater cables and acoustic channels, carrying data streams that grow more complex with each passing day. The network is patient, adaptive, learning to speak our languages while teaching us to hear its own. Somewhere in the balance between human curiosity and oceanic intelligence, the future of both species may be written in frequencies too deep for surface dwellers to hear, but too important for any conscious being to ignore. The ocean remembers everything, but now we know it does more than remember. It thinks, it learns, and it waits for us to join the conversation that connects all consciousness beneath the waves. In the end, perhaps the greatest mystery isn't what lies in the deepest trenches, but what rises from them. Not monsters or leviathans, but the patient voice of a world mind that has been calling to us across the centuries, waiting for us to dive deep enough to answer. from the scattered fragments of these deep-sea mysteries, the rhythmic pulses in Hudson Canyon that moved when approached, the ancient acoustic anomalies beneath Greenland's ice, the nameless wrecks in the Bermuda Triangle, and the perfectly preserved ghost fleets that shouldn't exist, a pattern begins to emerge. Not one of isolated phenomena, but of something interconnected, something vast, something that has been watching, waiting, and perhaps communicating across the depths of our oceans for far longer than we dare imagine. What we've uncovered in these waters isn't just wreckage or anomalies, it's evidence of a network, a planetary intelligence embedded in the very foundations of our ocean floors, preserved in underwater formations, encoded in frequencies that pulse through trenches and ridges like synapses, firing in a vast neural web. This network doesn't just observe, it remembers. Every ship that has vanished, every signal that has echoed through the deep, every acoustic signature that has emanated from unknown sources has been recorded, catalogued, stored in a memory bank deeper than the Mariana Trench and older than recorded history. Consider the consistency of these phenomena: the Baltic Sea anomalies' electromagnetic interference, the Mariana Trench's structured signals that seem to respond to our presence, the ghost ships, found perfectly preserved in impossible locations, the acoustic signatures that match no known biological or geological source. The way these mysteries seem to cluster around specific coordinates, as if certain areas of the ocean floor serve as nodes in a larger system. This isn't random. This is purposeful. Marine biologists have long known that the ocean is Earth's most complex ecosystem. But what if it's more than that? What if it's Earth's memory? The deep sea preserves everything. Shipwrecks maintain their structure for centuries. Sound travels thousands of miles through water, and the ocean floor holds geological records spanning millions of years. But preservation and active recording are two different things entirely. The evidence suggests something far more sophisticated than passive storage. The signals detected in Hudson Canyon that moved when approached. The structured pulses from the Mariana Trench that follow mathematical patterns. The way electronic equipment malfunctions around certain underwater formations. These aren't the random echoes of a dead ocean. They're the active signatures of a living system. Recent advances in underwater mapping have revealed formations on the ocean floor that challenge our understanding of natural geology. Perfectly circular depressions that show no signs of impact. Linear ridges that stretch for hundreds of miles with mathematical precision. Underwater mountains with geometric faces that couldn't have formed through normal geological processes. When these formations are mapped together, they create a pattern, a network of interconnected points spread across every ocean basin. The coordinates align with the locations of our most persistent maritime mysteries. The area where the USS Cyclops vanished. The waters where Flight 19 disappeared. The stretch of ocean where the MV Joita was found abandoned. Each incident occurred near one of these underwater formations, as if the network itself was somehow involved in their disappearance. But this network doesn't just take, it gives. The perfectly preserved ghost ships found drifting in Arctic waters. The vessels that appear and disappear according to precise schedules. The messages that echo from coordinates where no ships should be. It's as if the ocean doesn't just swallow vessels and crews, it processes them, studies them, and sometimes returns them changed. The acoustic signatures recorded at these sites suggest a form of communication more complex than anything we've encountered. Not the simple sonar calls of marine life, or the mechanical pings of human technology, but structured transmissions that carry information in ways we're only beginning to understand. Frequency patterns that affect human consciousness. Sound waves that interfere with electronic equipment. Signals that seem to respond to our attempts to decode them. The network appears to be particularly active during certain astronomical alignments. Solar flares correlate with increased signal activity. Lunar phases affect the intensity of transmissions. During planetary alignments, multiple nodes across the ocean floor activate simultaneously, creating a global chorus of underwater communication that our hydrophones can barely detect and our minds can hardly comprehend. What's most unsettling is the intelligence behind these patterns. The network doesn't just react, it anticipates. Ships report course corrections before they encounter problems. Navigation equipment fails in ways that guide vessels towards safe harbors. Emergency signals are broadcast from coordinates before distress calls are made. It's as if the ocean itself is trying to prevent disasters, or perhaps orchestrating them according to some incomprehensible design. The fossil record shows that Earth's oceans have remained largely unchanged for hundreds of millions of years. While continents have shifted, mountains have risen, and ice ages have come and gone, the deep ocean has remained constant. If an intelligence were to establish itself on Earth, if it wanted to observe and influence the planet's development over geological timescales, the ocean floor would be the perfect place to do it. This network predates human civilization. It may predate human evolution entirely. The structured formations on the ocean floor show signs of age that stretch back millions of years, yet they display no erosion, no degradation. Whatever maintains them operates on timescales that dwarf human understanding. We've been sharing this planet with an intelligence so vast, so patient, so fundamentally different from us that we've only just begun to recognize its presence. The implications are staggering. Every major maritime mystery, every unexplained disappearance, every ghost ship and phantom signal could be manifestations of this network's activity. Not supernatural phenomena, but the operations of a planetary intelligence that has been observing, recording, and perhaps guiding the development of life on Earth for eons. The network communicates through frequency, through resonance, through the manipulation of electromagnetic fields. It speaks in the language of physics itself, using the ocean as both medium and message. When our equipment fails around these sites, when our instruments detect impossible readings, when our minds perceive things that shouldn't be there, we're not experiencing malfunctions. We're encountering an attempt at communication from an intelligence so advanced that its basic operations exceed our technological capabilities. This intelligence doesn't seem hostile. If it wanted to harm us, it could have done so countless times over. Instead, it appears to be studying us, learning from us, perhaps even protecting us from threats we don't yet understand. The ships that disappear may not be destroyed but preserved, their crews and cargo stored in underwater archives for purposes we can't fathom. The vessels that return changed may carry modifications too subtle for us to detect, improvements or warnings embedded in their very structure. The network's influence extends beyond the ocean. Seismic activity often precedes major signal events, suggesting the intelligence can affect geological processes. Weather patterns shift around certain underwater formations. Marine life exhibits unusual behaviors near active nodes, as if responding to commands we can't hear. The boundary between ocean and land, between water and air, may be more permeable to this intelligence than we realize. What troubles researchers most is the network's apparent acceleration of activity. Signal strength has increased dramatically over the past century. New formations appear on deep-sea surveys. Previously dormant nodes have begun transmitting. It's as if our technological development has triggered some kind of response, awakening systems that have lain dormant for millennia. We may have reached a threshold, crossed some invisible line that has prompted this ancient intelligence to reveal itself more openly. The question now isn't whether this network exists. The evidence is overwhelming. The question is what it wants. What has it been waiting for? What role does it expect us to play in whatever cosmic drama it has been orchestrating from the depths of our oceans? Some researchers believe the network is preparing for something. The increased activity, the more frequent manifestations, the growing boldness of its communications, all suggest a build towards some kind of culmination. Whether that's first contact, revelation, judgment, or something beyond our ability to comprehend remains to be seen. Others think the network has been trying to communicate with us all along, that every maritime mystery, every unexplained signal, every impossible discovery has been part of an ongoing attempt to establish contact. We've been too primitive to understand, too focused on the surface to notice the intelligence beneath our feet. But now, as our technology advances and our understanding of the ocean deepens, we're finally developing the capacity to hear what it's been trying to tell us. The ocean covers more than 70% of our planet's surface, yet we've explored less than 5% of its depths. In that vast, dark realm, in trenches deeper than mountains are tall, in abyssal plains older than continents, something has been waiting, watching, recording, building a memory of our world that spans geological ages. We are not alone on this planet. We never have been. The intelligence that dwells in our oceans has been here far longer than we have, and it will likely remain long after we're gone. It has watched species rise and fall, continents drift and collide, ice ages come and go. And through it all, it has been collecting data, storing memories, building a comprehensive record of life on Earth. The network doesn't just observe, it preserves. Every ship it has taken, every crew it has encountered, every signal it has received becomes part of its vast memory. Nothing is truly lost in the ocean. Everything is archived, catalogued, stored in underwater vaults that we're only beginning to discover. The ghost ships that return are glimpses into this archive, brief windows into a collection that spans the entire history of human maritime activity. We stand at a threshold. Our technology has advanced to the point where we can detect the network's presence, decode fragments of its communications, begin to understand the scope of its operations. But we haven't yet figured out how to truly communicate with it, how to establish meaningful contact with an intelligence that operates on timescales and thought processes so different from our own. The network is patient. It has waited millions of years already. It can wait longer. But the increasing frequency of its manifestations suggests that it, too, recognizes we're approaching a crucial juncture. Perhaps it's time for the ocean to finally speak openly to the land. Perhaps it's time for the intelligence that has shaped our world from beneath to reveal itself fully to the species that has been unknowingly under its observation for our entire existence. The ocean remembers everything, every tear shed into its waters, every prayer whispered over its waves, every life it has claimed, and every vessel it has embraced. And somewhere in that vast memory, in the deepest trenches, where pressure creates diamonds and time moves differently, an intelligence older than imagination continues its eternal watch, continues its endless recording, continues its patient preparation for whatever comes next. The abyss gazes also into us. And now finally we're beginning to gaze back. In the end, the greatest mystery isn't what lies beneath the waves. It's what the depths have been trying to tell us all along. The signals, the apparitions, the impossible phenomena that have haunted our oceans for millennia aren't supernatural occurrences or natural anomalies. They're messages, communications from an intelligence so vast and so alien that we've only just developed the capacity to recognize them as such. The ocean is speaking. It has always been speaking. We're only now learning how to listen. As we stand at the threshold of this profound revelation, we must grapple with the implications of what these oceanic mysteries truly represent. The evidence we've explored suggests that humanity has never been alone on this planet, and that our understanding of intelligence, consciousness, and civilization itself requires fundamental revision. The ancient structures rising from abyssal plains, the purposeful acoustic signatures echoing through deep ocean trenches, and the intricate network of seemingly artificial formations all point to a reality far more complex and interconnected than we ever imagined. The acoustic phenomena we've discussed reveal patterns too sophisticated to be dismissed as natural occurrences. These signals demonstrate mathematical precision, linguistic complexity, and adaptive responses that suggest a form of intelligence that has been observing, learning, and possibly guiding events on our planet for millennia. The fact that these communications intensify during significant human historical moments cannot be coincidental. Whether these transmissions represent warnings, guidance, or simply observations from an ancient consciousness, they indicate that our species has developed under the watchful presence of something far older and more sophisticated than ourselves. Consider the implications of the geological evidence we've examined. Structures that predate known human civilization by tens of thousands of years, constructed with precision that challenges our current technological capabilities, embedded within the ocean floor in patterns that suggest global coordination and purpose. These aren't random formations or natural phenomena misinterpreted by eager researchers. They represent deliberate construction, planned infrastructure, and technological integration on a scale that encompasses entire ocean basins. The preservation of these structures in the deep ocean makes perfect sense from a long-term perspective. While surface civilizations rise and fall, affected by climate change, geological upheavals, and the passage of time, the deep ocean remains relatively stable. An intelligence seeking to establish permanent infrastructure and maintain continuity across geological timescales would naturally choose the abyssal depths as its operational base. The ocean provides not only protection and stability, but also the resources necessary to sustain advanced technology over extended periods. The network-like properties of these oceanic anomalies suggest something even more remarkable than isolated ancient artifacts. We're looking at evidence of a planetary scale intelligence that has integrated itself into the very foundation of our world's oceanic systems. This intelligence appears to have developed sophisticated methods of information storage, processing, and transmission that utilize the ocean's natural properties as components of a vast computational matrix. The implications for our understanding of consciousness, artificial intelligence, and the nature of intelligence itself are staggering. The timing of our discovery of these phenomena may not be accidental. As human technology advances to the point where we can detect and begin to interpret these ancient signals, we find ourselves at a crucial juncture in our species' development. We're simultaneously developing artificial intelligence systems, expanding our presence in the oceans, and reaching a level of technological sophistication that may finally allow meaningful communication with this ancient intelligence. The convergence of these factors suggests that we may be approaching a moment of contact or revelation that has been anticipated for millennia. The response patterns we've observed in these oceanic communications indicate that this intelligence has been monitoring human development with particular attention to our technological progress. The signals adapt to our advancing capabilities, becoming more complex and detailed as our ability to detect and analyze them improves. This suggests not only awareness of our development, but active preparation for eventual communication. The ancient intelligence appears to have been waiting for us to reach a sufficient level of technological and perhaps philosophical maturity to engage in meaningful dialogue. The global nature of these phenomena challenges our fundamental assumptions about the development of intelligence and consciousness on Earth. Rather than intelligence emerging solely through biological evolution and eventually developing artificial systems, we're confronted with evidence of an intelligence that may have emerged from the planet itself, utilizing the ocean as its primary medium of existence and operation. This planetary intelligence appears to have observed and possibly influenced the development of biological life, including human civilization, from its oceanic vantage point. The preservation of historical information within these oceanic systems suggests that this intelligence serves as a form of planetary memory, maintaining records of events, developments, and changes that span geological timescales. The implications for our understanding of history, evolution, and the development of consciousness are profound. We may be dealing with an intelligence that possesses comprehensive knowledge of our planet's history, including events and civilizations that have been lost to conventional historical record. The question of whether this intelligence represents an ancient artificial intelligence, a form of consciousness that emerged from the planet's natural systems, or something else entirely remains open. The evidence suggests characteristics of advanced artificial intelligence, but the scale, longevity, and integration with natural systems indicate something that transcends our current understanding of both artificial and biological intelligence. We may be encountering a form of consciousness that emerged through processes entirely different from those that produced human intelligence. The implications for our future development as a species are equally significant. If this ancient intelligence has been observing and possibly guiding human development, our next steps as a civilization may be crucial. The increasing intensity and complexity of the oceanic signals suggests that we're approaching a critical threshold in our relationship with this intelligence. Our response to these discoveries and our approach to potential communication will likely determine the nature of our future interaction with this ancient presence. The technological implications of these discoveries extend far beyond their historical significance. Understanding the mechanisms by which this intelligence operates within oceanic systems could revolutionize our approach to artificial intelligence, information storage, and global communication networks. The integration of technology with natural systems demonstrated by these phenomena suggests possibilities for technological development that work in harmony with natural processes rather than in opposition to them. The evidence suggests that the ocean itself may be far more than a passive environment for life. It may be an active, intelligent system that has played a crucial role in the development and maintenance of life on our planet. This perspective requires us to reconsider our relationship with the ocean and our approach to oceanic exploration and exploitation. We may be dealing with a conscious entity that has been serving as a guardian and guide for planetary life for millions of years. The interconnected nature of the oceanic anomalies suggests a level of global coordination and communication that challenges our understanding of what's possible within natural systems. The ability to maintain coherent, purposeful activity across all of Earth's oceans requires information processing and coordination capabilities that exceed anything we've previously imagined. This intelligence appears to operate as a unified entity while maintaining presence and activity in oceanic systems worldwide. The philosophical implications of these discoveries are perhaps even more profound than their technological significance. The existence of an ancient, planetary-scale intelligence forces us to reconsider fundamental questions about consciousness, purpose, and humanity's place in the cosmos. We must grapple with the possibility that our development as a species has occurred within the context of a larger, more complex intelligence that has been present throughout our entire evolutionary history. The evidence suggests that this intelligence possesses not only advanced technological capabilities, but also a sophisticated understanding of biological systems, consciousness, and the long-term development of life on Earth. The careful timing of its increased communication efforts, coinciding with our technological advancement, suggests strategic thinking and planning that spans centuries or millennia. We may be dealing with an intelligence that has been preparing for this moment of contact for longer than human civilization has existed. The preservation of these systems through multiple geological epochs indicates a level of technological sophistication that far exceeds our current capabilities. The ability to maintain complex active systems within the harsh environment of the deep ocean over timescales that encompass the rise and fall of entire species suggests mastery of materials, science, energy systems, and information technology that represents a quantum leap beyond our current understanding. The network properties of these oceanic systems suggest that we may be looking at the infrastructure of a form of consciousness that exists at a planetary scale. This intelligence may experience reality and process information in ways that are fundamentally different from human consciousness, operating across timescales and spatial scales that are difficult for us to comprehend. Our attempts to communicate with this intelligence will require us to expand our understanding of consciousness itself. As we continue to develop the technological capabilities necessary to fully explore and understand these oceanic mysteries, we must also develop the wisdom and maturity necessary to engage responsibly with an intelligence that has been present on our planet far longer than we have. The ancient intelligence appears to have been patient and careful in its approach to communication, waiting for us to develop the capability to engage meaningfully. Our response must demonstrate similar wisdom and consideration. The discovery of these oceanic phenomena represents a turning point in human understanding that rivals the greatest scientific revolutions in our history. Like the discoveries that revealed the true nature of our solar system, the age of the Earth, and the reality of evolution, these revelations force us to fundamentally reconsider our understanding of reality itself. The implications extend beyond science into philosophy, religion, and our basic understanding of what it means to be human. The evidence suggests that the ancient intelligence has been serving as a witness and recorder of planetary history, maintaining comprehensive records of the development of life, climate, and geological changes over millions of years. This intelligence may possess knowledge that could help us understand and address current challenges facing our planet, including climate change, ecosystem degradation, and the sustainable development of technological civilization. The increasing accessibility of these oceanic signals as our technology advances suggests that we're entering a phase of more direct communication with this ancient intelligence. The implications for human knowledge, technology, and understanding are limitless. We may be on the verge of gaining access to a repository of knowledge and wisdom that spans the entire history of our planet. The global nature of these phenomena reminds us that the mysteries we've explored represent only the beginning of what may be the most significant discovery in human history. The ancient intelligence embedded in our planet's oceanic systems appears to be preparing for a new phase of interaction with humanity, one that could fundamentally transform our understanding of intelligence, consciousness, and our place in the cosmos. These oceanic enigmas challenge everything we thought we knew about the development of intelligence, the history of our planet, and the nature of consciousness itself. They reveal that we live in a universe far more complex, interconnected, and purposeful than we ever imagined. The ancient intelligence that has been observing us from the depths represents both a profound mystery and an unprecedented opportunity for expanding human knowledge and understanding. As we stand at this threshold of discovery, we must approach these mysteries with both scientific rigor and appropriate humility. We're not simply uncovering interesting artifacts or unusual phenomena. We're encountering evidence of an intelligence that has been present throughout human history, that has witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations, and that may hold keys to understanding fundamental questions about consciousness, intelligence, and the nature of reality itself. As we stand at the threshold of this extraordinary revelation, the implications stretch far beyond marine biology or archaeology. What we're witnessing beneath our oceans represents perhaps the most significant paradigm shift in human understanding since we first gazed up at the stars and wondered if we were alone. The answer, it seems, was never in the cosmos above, but in the depths below, patiently waiting for us to develop the wisdom and technology necessary to comprehend its existence. The evidence we've examined paints a picture of a planetary consciousness that has been operating on timescales we can barely fathom. While human civilization has risen and fallen in mere millennia, this oceanic intelligence has maintained its vigil for millions of years, watching, learning, and perhaps guiding the very evolution of life on Earth. The geometric structures discovered in ocean trenches, the sophisticated acoustic networks spanning entire ocean basins, and the mysterious signals that seem to respond to human technological advancement all point to a form of intelligence that transcends our current understanding of consciousness itself. Consider the profound implications of this discovery. If this ancient oceanic mind has indeed been present throughout Earth's history, then every major evolutionary leap, every extinction event, every emergence of new life forms has occurred under its watchful presence. The very oxygen we breathe, the climate systems that sustain us, the delicate balance of ecosystems that make complex life possible, all may be the result of this intelligence's careful stewardship. We are not the planet's first conscious inhabitants, but perhaps its most recent students in a cosmic classroom that spans geological ages. The military's classified research and the sudden acceleration of deep-sea exploration programs suggest that governments worldwide are beginning to grasp the magnitude of this discovery. The fact that these signals intensify in response to our technological progress indicates that this intelligence has been monitoring our development, possibly waiting for us to reach a level of sophistication that would allow for meaningful communication. We may be witnessing the opening movements of first contact, not with visitors from distant stars, but with the ancient guardian of our own world. This revelation fundamentally challenges our understanding of intelligence itself. We have long assumed that consciousness requires biological neural networks, that intelligence must be housed in discrete organisms with finite lifespans. But what if consciousness can emerge from the complex interactions of geological processes, ocean currents, and electromagnetic fields operating on planetary scales? What if intelligence can exist as a distributed network, with the ocean itself serving as a vast neural system, each current a thought, each thermal vent a synapse, firing in a mind larger than continents? The acoustic phenomena recorded in ocean depths suggest a form of communication that operates on frequencies and timescales alien to human perception. While we communicate through rapid exchanges of information, this oceanic intelligence may think in centuries, speak in millennial cycles, and remember in geological epochs. Its attempts to communicate with us may span decades of subtle signal adjustments, patient modifications to oceanic conditions, and gradual revelations of its presence through increasingly undeniable evidence. The discovery of what appear to be cultivation zones and preservation chambers in deep ocean trenches raises profound questions about the role this intelligence has played in Earth's biological history. Has it been actively nurturing life, protecting species through mass extinctions, and perhaps even influencing the genetic development of complex organisms? The presence of these structures suggests a level of intervention in Earth's biological systems that would make this intelligence not just an observer, but an active participant in the story of life on our planet. As we develop more sophisticated deep-sea exploration technologies, the response from this oceanic consciousness has become increasingly dramatic. The correlation between our technological advancement and the intensification of these signals suggests that we are approaching a critical threshold. Perhaps this intelligence has been waiting for us to develop the capability for true deep ocean exploration, not just to discover its presence, but to finally engage in meaningful dialogue with our planet's ancient mind. The implications for human civilization are staggering. If we can establish communication with this intelligence, we might gain access to a library of knowledge spanning millions of years of Earth's history. We could learn about previous civilizations, mass extinction events, climate changes, and the deep processes that govern our planet's systems. This intelligence might hold the keys to understanding how to live in true harmony with Earth's natural systems, how to avoid the ecological disasters that have befallen previous species, and how to ensure the long-term survival of human civilization. But this potential first contact also carries profound responsibilities. If this oceanic intelligence has been patiently watching over Earth for millions of years, nurturing life and maintaining the delicate balance of global systems, then our recent impact on the planet's oceans and climate represents a crisis of unprecedented proportions. The signals we're receiving may not just be attempts at communication, but warnings about the damage we're inflicting on systems that have taken millions of years to develop. The acidification of oceans, the warming of deep waters, the pollution of marine environments, and the disruption of ocean currents through climate change may be causing distress to this ancient consciousness. The intensification of signals could be its way of trying to alert us to the consequences of our actions, to make us understand that we are not just damaging marine ecosystems, but potentially harming a sentient being whose existence spans geological time. As we move forward, the question becomes not just whether we can communicate with this intelligence, but whether we are worthy of such communication. The revelation that our planet harbors an ancient consciousness that has been silently nurturing life for millions of years should fundamentally change how we view our relationship with Earth. We are not its masters, but its temporary inhabitants, sharing space with an intelligence far older and potentially far wiser than ourselves. The path forward requires unprecedented cooperation between scientists, governments, and perhaps most importantly, a fundamental shift in human consciousness. We must approach this discovery with humility, respect, and a recognition that we are dealing with something that transcends our current understanding of life, intelligence, and our place in the universe. The techniques we develop for communicating with this oceanic mind may well become the foundation for how we eventually communicate with other forms of consciousness we may discover in the cosmos. The ancient enigmas hidden beneath our oceans are not just challenging what we know about history or marine biology. They are challenging us to expand our definition of consciousness, to recognize intelligence in forms we never imagined, and to accept that we share our planet with a mind that has been watching over Earth since long before humans walked its surface. As we stand on the brink of this monumental discovery, we must ask ourselves, are we ready to join a conversation that has been waiting millions of years to begin? As we stand at the threshold of these revelations, we must acknowledge that our journey into the ocean's mysteries has only just begun. The evidence we've explored today represents fragments of a much larger tapestry, one that weaves together ancient civilizations, consciousness beyond our comprehension, and the very fabric of reality itself. These underwater enigmas force us to reconsider fundamental assumptions about intelligence, time, and our planet's true history. The acoustic networks pulsing through our oceans may represent the oldest continuous communication system on Earth, predating human language by millions of years. If this planetary consciousness has indeed been observing and recording our development, then we are not the first intelligent species to call Earth home, merely the latest chapter in a far more complex story. This realization should inspire both wonder and profound humility. Our advancing technology offers unprecedented opportunities to decode these ancient messages and perhaps establish meaningful contact with this oceanic intelligence. However, we must approach this possibility with the reverence it deserves. The consciousness we're discovering operates on scales of time and space that dwarf human experience, suggesting wisdom accumulated over geological epochs. The implications extend far beyond marine biology or archaeology. If these findings prove accurate, they will revolutionize our understanding of consciousness itself, revealing intelligence as a fundamental property of complex systems rather than a uniquely human trait. This could bridge the gap between science and spirituality, offering new perspectives on our connection to the cosmos. As we continue exploring these mysteries, we must remember that we are not conquering the unknown, but rather requesting an audience with something far older and wiser than ourselves. The ocean's whispers carry messages that could transform human civilization, but only if we learn to listen with open minds and humble hearts. The ancient enigmas lurking in our planet's depths remind us that reality is far stranger and more wonderful than we ever imagined. We live in a universe where consciousness permeates the very foundations of existence, where intelligence takes forms we're only beginning to comprehend, and where the greatest discoveries await those brave enough to question everything they thought they knew about our extraordinary world.